What's up? What's good? Welcome to BRAINWAVES podcast. I'm your host, I'm the Great. Today, we're exploring one of the most defining elements of hip hop music: sampling. How did the practice of taking snippets of other songs and repurposing them shape hip hop as we know it? How did it evolve from a creative experiment to a global art form? And what's the stories behind the controversies, lawsuits, and innovation that came along the way? Stick around as we uncover the story of sampling in hip hop. So, to understand the history of sampling, we first need to go back to the late 1970s in the Bronx, New York. This was the birthplace of hip hop. At block parties, DJs like Kool Herc, Africa Bambaataa, and Grandmaster Flash pioneered a revolutionary technique. They'd take the instrumentals, the breaks, from funk, soul, and disco records and loop them to create a continuous rhythm for people to dance to. These breaks often came from artists like James Brown, The Incredible Bongo Band, and Parliament Funkadelic. DJs will use two turntables to extend the break, creating a seamless flow. This method of manipulating records laid the groundwork for sampling, even before digital samplers existed. What's fascinating is how resourceful early hip-hop pioneers were. They didn't have fancy equipment. They used what they had: turntables, mixers, vinyl. These do-it-yourself ethos defined the early days of hip-hop. By 1980s, technology started catching up with creativity. Enter the drum machines and samplers. The Roland TR-808 and the SP-1200 were game changers. The SP-1200 in particular became iconic in hip-hop. It allowed producers to chop up sounds, loop them, and create entirely new compositions. One of the first major hits to heavily use sampling was 1986 Eric B. is President by Eric B. and Rakim, produced by Marley Marl. Marley Marl revolutionized the production process by using the SP-1200 to isolate and recontextualize drum hits and melodies. This innovation paved the way for producers like DJ Premier, Pete Rock, and J Dilla, who later pushed sampling to new creative heights. During this time, artists like Public Enemy and the Bomb Squad were taking sampling to extreme levels. Public Enemy's "It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back" is a masterpiece of densely layered samples, creating chaotic but powerful soundscapes that reflected the urgency of the lyrics. The late 1980s and early 1990s are often called the golden age of hip-hop. The sampling played a massive role in defining the sound of this era. Producers like Dr. Dre, DJ Premier, RZA, and Q-Tip turned sampling into an art form. Dr. Dre's The Chronic brought funk back into the mix, heavily sampling artists like Parliament and Funkadelic. On the other side of the country, the Wu-Tang Clan sampled obscure soul and kung fu movie soundtracks, creating a gritty and cinematic sound. One of the most iconic uses of sampling during this time was Nas' Illmatic. Tracks like The World Is Yours and NY State of Mind are built on expertly flipped jazz samples, giving the album a timeless and introspective feel. Producers during this era weren't just copying sounds, they were reinterpreting them, often turning obscure records into global hits. Sampling became a way to bridge generations, introducing young audience to older music. But with great creativity came great controversy. As hip-hop gained mainstream attention, so did the practice of sampling. By early 1990s, artists began facing lawsuits for using samples without proper clearance. One of the most infamous cases was De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising. The track, transmitting live from Mars, sampled a short segment from the Turtles' You Showed Me. The band sued and won, setting a precedent that changed the industry forever. Clearing samples became a costly and time-consuming process. This forced many producers to get more creative, relying on fewer samples or using their own instruments to replicate sounds. While this didn't kill sampling, it did alter its approach. Fast forward to 2000s and beyond, and sampling remains alive and well. Producers like Kanye West, Madlib, and J Dilla reinvented sampling by blending digital tools with classic techniques. Kanye West, the college dropout, and late registration brought soul samples back to forefront, often speeding up vocals to create his signature chipmunk soul sound. Meanwhile, J Dilla's Donuts album is a masterclass in chopping and flipping obscure records, creating emotional and abstract beats. In recent years, artists like Kendrick Lamar, Tyler the Creator have continued the tradition, often combining live instrumentation with sampling to create layered, dynamic tracks. Sampling has also expanded beyond hip-hop. Genres like pop, electronic music, and even film scores borrow heavily from hip-hop sampling ethos. Sampling in hip-hop isn't just about taking someone else's music. It's about creating something entirely new. It's about storytelling, paying homage, and pushing boundaries. From the block parties of the Bronx to global stages, sampling has been the heartbeat of hip-hop. Of course, the history of sampling is still being written. New producers are constantly finding ways to innovate, and old tracks are being rediscovered and reinterpreted for new audiences. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. And let me know, what's your favorite hip-hop sample of all time? Until next time, this is Samo the Great, signing off. Stay creative, stay inspired, and keep the beats alive. Adios.